Our next guest is considered a spiritual pioneer and has brought the subject of communication with the dead into the public's consciousness for over 30 years.
I am so excited for this. James Van Praagh has appeared on shows like 2020, The View, and dozens of others. He's also written best-selling books. He'll be at the Fox Theater on November 7th, but first, he's paying us a visit here on The Morning Blend. Good morning, James.
Good morning.
Thank you so much
Thank you for having me. Thank
and there's
you.
been a buzz around the building.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
James
For
is here.
days.
Yes.
I can't even get in the building.
I know.
People are coming to
You've
me.
got
And the living
paparazzi.
people.
I know.
And then I found out I got this flyer with Shirley MacLaine and Jennifer Love Hewitt and
That's right, all these wonderful
I know,
people you've worked
for the
with.
event that I'm doing. So
That's exciting.
yeah, it's really cool to be here in Tucson. Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your gift? Like, how does it work, and when did you notice that you had this
The
gift?
movie The Sixth Sense, that was my life. So I was really that kid in The Sixth Sense, very, very close. We're actually the same age, and M. Night Shakur and myself, the guy that wrote that movie, we had the exact same age, and so I don't know what happened there. But that was my childhood. I used to see spirit all the time. I used to see lights around people, colors around people. I'd know things about them intuitively, psychically, before things would happen. And I grew up that way. I was born that way, really. And as a little kid, kids are very open. Kids are very psychic.
Right.
You know, they tend to be that way. And I asked my mother, and I said, who are those people standing next to the end of the bed when we're saying my prayers? And she said, oh, those are God's angels. You see them too? She goes, they'll always protect you, so you have nothing to worry about. So she instilled the positivity, not fear. And that's how it started. And it was just, it was normal. It was very natural to me. And then my 20s, I started going to, and I didn't pay attention to my teenage years. It was like nothing. It was just, you know, and in my 20s, I started getting these weird visions again, and I started meditating. And I noticed the more I meditated, I started seeing colors and lights around people like I did as a child. So it came back in my 20s.
Wow, and so, I mean, do you share that with your family, or do you sort of not do that? Or?
My grandmother was very, very psychic. Well, as far as the ability,
yeah,
my grandmother was very psychic. My grandfather, my mother's side was psychic, so both sides of the family. It's usually a genetic line it runs in. And I cannot read my family as far as, because I'm emotionally attached, so I can't be objective. Gotcha. So that's what happens. So I'm a spiritual medium, which means I'm able to bring through evidential details about the loved ones that passed over. And every medium is a psychic, but not every psychic is a medium. So you have to have a certain amount of psychic or intuition before you do the mediumship, and that's so I'm a little bit of both.
Gotcha. Can you tell us a little bit about how your event works? I mean, you've got this big group of people. How do you connect with just one at a time?
Everybody should go to my event in the Fox Theater. You have to. And a workshop as well. It's a really great opportunity because it changes people's lives. It really does. Whether it's 100 people in the audience or 2,000 people, I just blend with the spirit, and the spirit comes very, very close to me, and I'll give through names, details, events, and I'll say, who does that belong to in the audience? And it's that person, please stand up, and that's how I receive it. But sometimes I'll look in the audience and I'll see someone standing behind somebody, and I'll say, there's a lady standing behind you. She's 73 years old when she passes over. She died at St. Mercy's Hospital, and she's your mother. Yes, that's right.
Wow.
So it's survival evidence, which means what I do is I'm supposed to bring through, evidential details, names, places, events, that only the spirit would know and the loved one would know.
That's wonderful.
And, and have you noticed that that your gift really, it just helps people?
It heals people. It heals people on many, many levels. And it heals them to realize, number one, that they're a spirit or a soul having a human experience, that this stuff is not, this illusionary, this world, but really we are all souls. There is no such thing as death. And once you realize there's no death, you really can start beginning living life.
Right.
And I also come through with people to teach them what you do to others comes back to you. So you have to be very responsible how you treat another human being. Karma, it's, you know, karma, I always say, how people treat you is their karma. How you react is your karma.
Definitely.
And we've got a couple people here
we've got some
in
colleagues.
the building that
Probably a lot of people.
I know. Well, we could only pick a couple. So please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Shane.
Hi, Shane. How are you?
I'm fabulous.
Good, good, good. So how can I help you? You want to just see what's your dad passed over, a stepdad?
Father.
Father did. Okay. And let me just ask you, Shane, I just want to tell you, there's a number of people around. So then there's a grandmother as well over there, and I know that you would have known her when you were a young boy, okay? And she's with him, so I got to tell you that. Before he passes over, I do feel there's trouble with breathing with this man as well, and I feel like I can't breathe, and my chest area is congested as well. You understand that? Like my heart or congestion in this area. Do you understand? Okay. And so I also want to say oxygen was needed. Oxygen at one point was needed. I think you guys in a hospital setting, and I feel like I go to the hospital, and I know that the family was there at the time before he passes, like right before, and then he goes when everyone leaves.
Yes.
You understand that? Because he said everybody left, you know, and then I had to go on my own. And many times the spirit will leave when the family's not around. You know, we come into the world alone and we leave alone. So that's what he's saying. I'm going to tell you, I don't know if you have dog tags or was a military background or something with your dad, please?
Yes.
You understand that? Because he's very proud of that. And I know there'd be a photograph of him with a military uniform or something with that. And he's talking to me about that, and give love to Mom.
Oh,
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And we're going to
Thanks,
move on to
Shane.
our next volunteer.
This is like quick, like
I know.
And it's wonderful that you can do that, though.
Well, I've been doing television for a long, long time. Hi, lovely.
Good Good morning.
And your name
It's
is?
a pleasure. Rosemary Anthony.
Rosemary?
Rosemary Anthony.
Rosemary Anthony, okay. Now, did your mother also passed over to the side of life?
Yes, she.
Because I get your mother here. I know you want to make contact with someone else, but I get your mother here. And I want to tell you that your mother's apologizing to you because your mother could not be as open or as emotional to you to tell you she loved you and what you needed. Would you understand that?
Oh yes, thank you.
And I know that you've been worried about her, and I know there's a sister also in the spirit, so I think it's her sister that passed over. There's a sister that she's with, okay? And do you have a necklace of your mother's or some jewelry of hers as well?
Yes, she did.
You have it. Do you have it?
I have it.
Yeah, like, very good. And I know that you smell roses, so it's interesting your name is Rosemary, but roses, I'm smelling roses. So when Mother comes to visit you, I'm smelling roses around the house.
Interesting.
Interesting. And I know that you'd be working with, I know you work around here, and I know that you'd hear something where you're sitting there behind you, and it's your mom. And I know just recently you either turned the calendar over or you did something with the calendar she's showing me.
Oh.
Do you remember that this morning, doing something with the calendar? Or an appointment book or
I'll
something?
have to think about that.
So if you go to
Right,
your-
I know,
okay,
yeah.
all
Yeah,
right.
when they're on the spot. Well, let's get
you,
our
Rosemary.
next guest.
Okay, thank you, darling.
Rosemary.
And your mother loves you, so I got to leave you with that. And you are?
Phil.
Phil. Hi, Phil. And you want to contact the young man or man that passed away?
Young man, yeah.
Okay, great. I also want to ask you that besides this young man, I feel there's several people over there. So I feel there would be, and again with you, grandmother and grandfather, by the way. And I want to ask you, who would ride a motorcycle or have to do with a motorcycle?
Not that I knew of.
No, you know of. Do you know anyone that would have wanted to buy a motorcycle just recently or thought about going dirt biking or something with a motorcycle?
Unfortunately, not.
Your first life. Okay, I want you to keep that. Now, the man that you wanted to contact, I know he took his life, correct?
Correct.
Correct. And I know his mother's still living down here, isn't that right?
Phoenix.
But she's still living on the earth,
Yes.
right? So I need for you to let her know, and I'm just very emotional here with him, that she wrote a letter to him, he's telling me. She wrote a letter to him. He's sorry he couldn't see, I get emotional here. He couldn't be here, and he's sorry that he left the way he did, and it was quick, but he thought about it before. So I know it was suicide, yeah. But I know he thought about it beforehand. I think there might have been some condition with a mental state, like bipolar, or something chemically not right with him. Do you
Most
understand?
likely, yeah.
You understand that?
Probably agree
So,
with that.
and he's there. And tell Mom she has his keys, or there's a key that she has of his.
Okay.
Would you pass a message?
All right.
All right,
Thank
let's
you.
get our last guest, Liz, in here.
It's like express train
I
here. It's
know.
like Spirit
We'll have to go to your
Express.
show if they want it to be
Yeah,
longer, right?
exactly.
I know you have a grandmother that passed over. I'm very, very aware of that. And that's your mother's mother then?
Yes.
Yes. She's overlooking things, and she's always been overlooking things. She's very detail, and make sure everything's taken care of, and everything was fine for the funeral or her memorial service. I'm going to tell you that very much. I know, and I want to say hello to your father as well, so I got to say hello to your dad. And I like him as a son to mine, okay? I know there's going to be a move around. She's talking to me about a moving a place with you, moving a house, or just moved a house.
Yeah,
You understand that?
yeah.
So she said she was behind that move.
Okay.
Okay, and she's wishing you lots of love, love, love. She said she had so many flowers, she knew what to do with it, okay? And I know you must have her photograph out on a picture of her.
My mom does.
Your mom does. And would it be on the table in the living room, do you know, please?
Table in the
Or
living
on a shelf in the living room? Because
Yes.
I see it there.
Yes.
And she said your mother was just looking at that, and would you tell her that she was doing that? And I would not be surprised. This lady's telling me she either moved the photo or something happened, and she heard something about that photo, okay?
Okay.
And I know she has her silverware, or, silver.
Yes,
Silverware. She knows
yes,
about that.
yes.
And she was also telling me she has dishes of hers. There'll be
Okay.
some dishes, like formal dishes,
Okay.
dishware, and a lace tablecloth.
Okay.
Wow.
That's what
Well,
I
I know
said.
this could go on for hours.
Definitely
we
do
have
this
to
all
wrap
day.
right here.
Thank you, Liz.
Come to the show.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
sweetheart. Yeah.
And James, thank you so much for coming
You're
on
welcome.
and
So
sharing
it's a
your
3-hour
gift with us.
event, and then I'm doing a workshop so that people want to learn more about it.
People
Definitely.
need to go see it. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
And you can see James Van Praagh at the Fox Theater on November 7th. To buy tickets, you can visit foxtucsontheater.org. And for more information, go to vanpraagh.com.
Stay where you are. We'll be right back.